Today I'm going to demonstrate a kindergarten lesson on making clay pockets. I've got a couple of clay pocket examples right here. Some of them, these two, have already been glazed, and this one just hasn't been glazed yet. We've also put two little holes at the top of these pockets so they could be hung on a wall and displayed. You could stuff them with some fake flowers or anything else that you would want to and use them for a display. To get started, the kindergartners are each going to get a cube of clay, and they're going to use their hands to really change the shape of the clay. So they're going to squish the clay and try to kind of squish it into a ball. Once they have it into a ball, they're going to use what I like to call magic hands, where one hand goes underneath, the other goes above, and we set a spell. Woo, like this. So I'll put my clay into my hand, and I'll use the pressure and turn it around like that magic hand I was just showing. And as soon as I feel like I have it into a good ball or a good sphere, I'm going to set it down, because we've been learning that our hands dry out the clay, and dry clay cracks. So as soon as we've got it into a sphere, we're going to set it down. So now I'm going to turn this clay sphere into a patty. So I'm going to take my clay sphere and I'm going to tap it 3 times. Then I will flip it over and I will tap it another 3 times. And I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to test it. Oh, mine doesn't wiggle at all, so that means I need to keep going just a little bit more. I hit it 3 times, turn it over. Hit it 3 times, turn it over, and then this looks pretty good. It just starts to wiggle a little bit. Now I'm going to put it down as soon as it's in that flat patty so my hands don't dry it out. The next step for the kindergartners is to make the holes so that this pocket can hang on the wall when we're done with it. So up near the top, they're going to take one of these scoring sticks and wiggle a little hole all the way through their clay, and then right next to it they're going to do the same thing, wiggle another hole right next to it, and when you turn over that clay you can see that it's kind of got some rough edges sticking out, and we don't want those rough edges to stick out, because if they do, they could scrape our fingers or our wall after it comes out of the kiln. So what we do is we flip it over and we use our fingers to really gently make it so that the clay is nice and smooth on the back. While my kindergartners are doing that, I'm going to be going around and I'm going to be marking their clay on the back for them. So their class is Kindergarten Oddland. So I'm going to be putting a K-O for Oddland. Kindergarten and Oddland, and then I will be putting their names right underneath there. If your kindergartners can do this by themselves, you could also have them do that or put their initials on. Just writing example here on the back of that one. So this is the back now of that patty that we just made. The next step is the kids are going to turn it over so that their names are on the back. And they're going to take their scoring stick and they're going to make like little cat scratches. So they're not going to scratch all the way through. And from right here, about halfway on each side, they're going to take the stick and just make little tiny scratch marks. These scratch marks don't go all the way through. They just make a little rough surface so that the clay is not smooth anymore. So they're making little tiny scratch marks from halfway down, kind of like they're making the smile on the clay pocket's face. For the next step, we're going to set aside that first patty that we made. It's got our name on the back. It has scratch marks kind of making a smiley face. And now we're going to be working with a second piece of clay. With that second piece of clay, we're going to do just the same thing that we did with the first piece of clay. We're going to squish it into a ball. We're going to use our magic hands to make it into a sphere, and then we're going to smack it down 3 sides, 3 times on each side until it makes a patty. Now on that second patty, we are not going to put holes like we did with the first patty. So the first one has holes up top, but we are going to make the scratches. Again, we're not going all the way through. We're just scratching like a cat might give a little claw and scratch. Should not go all the way through. We're just making the clay rough. So now I have two patties that have scratch marks from here all the way around to here. And on this one, same thing, from here all the way around to here. So the next step is we're going to add some texture. So I'm again going to take this patty that I put the two holes in and I'm going to set it to the side. We're not working on that one right now. I've got this one right here. It has nothing on the front side and it has these tally marks on the back side. So I'm going to gently flip it over and I'm going to be bringing my students around some different shells that they can use to add texture. You could press in leaves or fake flowers or different rubber mats if you have them to add texture. And so really gently, they're just going to take the shells that they like and wiggle, 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 wiggle. And this is going to kind of make a texture on the outside of their clay. And they're not going to press so hard that the clay gets stuck or press so hard that the shell goes all the way through. They're just trying to get just a little bit of pattern or texture onto their clay piece here. So I'm pressing really, really gently. My score marks are on the back. Those little cat scratches that I made are still on that side, and this is the side that I'm making the texture on. So since I just did all these really pretty patterns with textures with the shell on the front, this is going to be the front of my pocket. So I'm going to bring the pocket, this is the bottom of the pocket. That's going to be like my bottom of my pocket. That's the bottom of the sandwich, like the bottom bun. Now this is going to be the meat. I'm going to make a little sandwich. So I've got my bun, I've got my meat. Now I'm going to put on the other top to make the sandwich. Now we don't want the sandwich closed all the way around. We want it open at the top. So right down near the bottom, I'm going to pinch, 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 all the way around, just halfway to right here. I don't pinch the top closed. And you can leave that paper towel just like that right inside. Then I can use my finger right here, kind of smooth the edges so it looks like that sandwich got put together very nicely and it's not going to fall apart. So I've got the shells on the top and on the bottom is my name and teacher. Once my students have finished pinching all the way around and smoothing the two edges together so that it's not going to fall apart, they can leave this paper towel in here while it dries, and right before I put it into the kiln, I'll pop it out. And if I can't get it out, I'll just kind of leave it in there and it will turn to ashes in the kiln. This is a kindergarten lesson on how to make a clay pocket.